The offensive coordinator search in Miami is heating up, and we might have just found the smoking gun that points to exactly who Jeff Hafley wants running his offense in 2026. The dots are connecting. The history is undeniable. But is this potential hire a stroke of genius or a massive mistake waiting to happen? You are not going to believe who is leading the pack right now. Welcome back to the channel, the #1 spot for raw, unfiltered Miami Dolphins news. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on this coaching search, do me a huge favor right now. Smash that like button, share this video with a fellow Dolphin, and hit subscribe. We are closing in on 80,000 subscribers, and I want you on this ride with us. All right, let's get straight into the fire. The rumor mill is absolutely spinning out of control today, and all signs are pointing to one name: Brian Angelichio. Currently the tight ends coach and passing game coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, Angelichio has suddenly emerged as the name to watch for the Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator job. This isn't just me throwing darts at a board. Jonathan Jones over at CBS Sports dropped a bomb on Wednesday morning, explicitly stating that Angelichio is a name we need to monitor for Miami. And let me tell you, where there is smoke, there is usually a raging fire. I have been hearing the same buzz from my own sources connected to the organization. People are whispering that Angelichio isn't just on the list, he might be the finalist. But why him? Why is a tight ends coach suddenly the favorite to run the entire offense? It all comes down to one thing: connections. The history between Jeff Hafley and Brian Angelichio isn't just a casual acquaintance. It is a decades-long professional marriage. And when you look at the timeline, it starts to feel inevitable. Let's pause for a second and actually meet the guy, because I know some of you are asking, who? And look, I'm going to be real with you. I have a little bit of bias here. I'm putting it out there. The man is from my neck of the woods. He's 53 years old, went to St. Lawrence University in New York. Shout out to my aunt who went there, great Division III school. He started his coaching grind way back in 1995 at SUNY Brockport. For those who don't know, that is right near my hometown of Rochester, New York. So yeah, I've got a soft spot for the local guy. He also spent time coaching at Ithaca College in Western New York, another school that was in my final 3 choices. So personally, I'm rooting for the guy, but professionally, we need to look closer. He has been in the NFL trenches for a long time. He joined Minnesota in 2022, but before that, he has been everywhere. But the real story here is not where he has been, it's who he was with. This is where things get really interesting and, frankly, a little suspicious. The bond between head coach Jeff Hafley and Brian Angelichio is incredibly strong. We are talking about coaching together at 4 different stops between college and the pros from 2006 to 2015. Let's trace the path. They were at the University of Pittsburgh together from 2006 to 2010. Hafley on defense, Angelichio on offense. Then, they both packed their bags and head to Rutgers to work under Greg Schiano. But they didn't stop there. They both jumped to the NFL with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 2 years. And then, they both went to the Cleveland Browns for 2 years. Do you see the pattern? I'm just speculating here, but this isn't normal. You don't just randomly follow a co-worker to 4 different cities unless there is a serious friendship or a massive amount of professional trust there. Is there something I'm missing? Or are they just that tight? I have to ask you, does it worry you when a new head coach immediately hires his best friend? Is that chemistry a good thing for the locker room? Or does it scream nepotism to you? Here is the concern, and I need to be brutally honest about this. If the Dolphins hire Brian Angelichio, it is a massive gamble. Why? Because the man has never called plays. Not in the NFL. Not in college. He has exclusively been a tight ends coach for the last decade. He's a position coach. If you hand him the keys to the entire offense in 2026, you are betting the franchise on someone who has never had the pressure of calling a 3rd and goal play in the 4th quarter. However, I also have to play devil's advocate. I told you I wasn't going to judge the Jeff Hafley hire just because he was buddies with GM John Eric Sullivan. I gave Hafley the benefit of the doubt to prove he can be a head coach. If I'm being fair, shouldn't I give Angelichio the same chance? We can't truly know if a guy is a genius coordinator until he actually puts on the headset, right? Also, look at the trees he has learned from. He spent 3 years in Green Bay under Mike McCarthy, one of the best offensive minds of the last 15 years. He has spent the last few years under Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota and also worked with him in Washington. O'Connell is an offensive wizard. If Angelichio has absorbed that scheme and that philosophy, maybe he is ready to explode onto the scene. This leads me to the question of the day, and I want to see thousands of comments on this one. Based on his resume and his lack of play-calling experience, would you hire Brian Angelichio as the Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator? Pin comment below. Type Y for yes or N for no. I want to hear your voice. We cannot just focus on one guy, because if this deal falls through, Miami needs a plan B. I have compiled a list of 15 candidates that we need to keep an eye on. We talked about Angelichio. Yesterday, we discussed Jason Vrabel, the Packers' pass game coordinator. But let's throw some other names into the ring. You have Connor Lewis in Green Bay, Sean Mannion, the current quarterbacks coach for the Packers, and Luke Getsy, who has been an OC multiple times. But what if Miami wants to go big? What if they want a sexy hire? There are some massive names out there. Bobby Slowik, Brian Daboll, Nate Schilhassa, Cliff Kingsbury. Let's look at 5 names that I think could rise to the top if Miami decides to swing for the fences. First, Joe Brady. He has been getting head coaching interviews left and right. If he doesn't land a top job, and with the chaos in Buffalo after Sean McDermott's firing, maybe Brady looks for a fresh start. He grew up a Dolphins fan. If he's willing to work with Hafley, that is an intriguing option, even if his play calling has its critics. Second, Arthur Smith. Another guy with head coaching experience who might be looking to reset as a coordinator. Third, Davis Webb, the Broncos' QB coach. He is a rising star, skyrocketing up the ranks, and getting head coach interviews already. Fourth, Thomas Brown. I really like this guy. He called plays in Carolina as an interim, coached with the Bears, and is now learning under Mike Vrabel in New England. He is sharp. And fifth, Sean Mannion. If you want that unknown swing candidate who knows Hafley from Green Bay, Mannion is my dark horse. Former NFL quarterback, knows the system inside and out. Here's my take. Miami needs to nail this hire. The roster might not be perfect in 2026, so you need a coach who can elevate the talent. Personally, my number one choice is Nate Schilhassa, the Rams pass game coordinator. If he doesn't get a head coaching gig, he needs to be an OC to boost his stock. I love his upside. I also love Davis Webb for the same reason. But I understand the appeal of the proven commodity. That's why Bobby Slowik, currently on the Miami staff, or Thomas Brown makes sense. They have done it before. However, I have a feeling Hafley might go with comfort. I wouldn't be shocked if we end up with Angelichio, Jason Vrabel, or Connor Lewis. But let me know your top 5 in the comments. We have to pivot to the other side of the ball because I have some massive news regarding the defense. I have heard from multiple sources close to the situation, and while I'm choosing to believe them, let's treat this as a strong rumor for now. It sounds like Jeff Hafley will be calling the defensive plays himself. We wondered if he would take on that responsibility as a first-time head coach, but considering how successful he has been calling plays for the Packers over the last 2 years, this makes total sense. I expect this to be officially announced at his introductory press conference on Thursday morning. If Hafley is calling the plays, that tells me he is going to hire a lieutenant-type defensive coordinator, someone he trusts implicitly to run the meetings and install the scheme while he manages the whole team. This likely means Anthony Weaver is gone. Weaver has had 3 head coaching interviews: Steelers, Ravens, Bills. He is in high demand. So who steps in? Look at the Green Bay staff. Sean Duggan, the Packers linebackers coach, is a top option to follow Hafley to Miami. Tim Lukabu, who we mentioned yesterday, DeMarcus Covington, or Vince Agabase, the assistant defensive line coach. I think all 4 of those guys are in play. They can come in, take the title of defensive coordinator, help with the game plan, but ultimately defer to Hafley on game day. It's a smart model for a defensive-minded head coach. This was a loaded episode, but that is what we do here. We are covering every angle of this search. We will be back tomorrow with full reactions to the Jeff Hafley and John Eric Sullivan press conference. You do not want to miss that. If you are still watching, comment Real One below so I know who the diehard fans are. Let's get to 2,000 subscribers. Hit that button, stay passionate, and I will see you next time.